So thanks, Elgun, for joining us here in Sales Brew. I'm sure our audience would appreciate the the learnings you're going to provide them. So maybe you can tell us, how did you get into Salesforce admin role? What was your career journey? And
Um, Hello again, and thank you for inviting me for this interview. About my experience and my beginning of my journey was about more than 8 years, and I heard about Salesforce from my friends, and I just happened to love the platform right away. I started learning about it. I started to see what's possible there, what's not, because I had an experience with data prior to Salesforce, data analyst and all. So once I got into Salesforce and I saw back in the day, it was you wouldn't get this kind of user-friendly interface for CRM, and Salesforce was kind of focused on the user experience and all, and I liked how it looked. That was my first impression. But after I dived deep into it, and I realized that it has a lot of capabilities, a lot of possibilities to do within it. So that's where I started as a junior admin. Then as the time passed, I moved more into a real admin world where I would configure orgs and all. For the past 8 years now, I have been a consultant mainly, and I love to be a consultant because in that case, you get to see a lot of orgs, a lot of industries, how different companies from different industries utilize Salesforce. And I got to help a lot of companies from media, manufacturing, SaaS companies to use the best practices to configure their Salesforce org and to basically fine-tune their existing orgs. Yeah, and after 8 years, I'm here as a senior admin. I still love Salesforce. I love everything about Salesforce. Salesforce has come a long way as well since I started. It's consistent investment on no code solutions. So Flow is one example. I started with Flow about 6 years ago or something. Back in the day, Flow was totally different than we see today, and with lots of capabilities within Salesforce Flow. So automation was a big part of the change. On top of it, again, everything else Salesforce has done, no code and all, that was the main reason for me to stay, because I know code. I have written code back in the day, still can do it, but don't want to become an admin developer, because for the very reason that Salesforce is consistently investing on no code solutions. So basically to make sure that admins have everything they need to create a solution without a code. Recently ChatGPT integration that it proves my choice. So yeah, I mean, along the way, I have had lots of challenges, of course, lots of issues with clients, with users, from C-level all the way to the individual contributors. But so yeah, a lot to talk about the journey specifically.
Sounds like you're the right person to talk to about Salesforce. So, maybe we can start by, what are the objectives of Salesforce admin in a specific organization, and how important do you think it is for an organization to have a Salesforce admin in-house?
Great question. It's First about in-house and consultant, right? Is there a big difference? I wouldn't say there is a big difference. The main difference is in the mindset of the person that you are bringing in, right? Be it in-house, be it a contractor, doesn't matter. That person, as an admin, should feel like they are the guards of Salesforce instance. So I, as an admin, need to protect the instance to make sure that every solution, every little thing that I'm giving to the business is scalable. It is future proof. Of course, processes will change, everything will change. You cannot predict every single thing, but just to have that idea that my solutions should be scalable. That's the most important trait of Salesforce admin. Knowing what is a custom field, what is a master detail relationship, lookup relationship, reports, dashboard. Knowing the capabilities of the system is a great knowledge to have in an admin, right? Every admin needs to have it. In addition to it, the one that I see admins mostly lacking is the future-proof solutions. So scalable solutions. That's the most important keyword that I always tell to any admin that I see. Scalable. It should be scalable. That I sometimes joke that your solutions should not break just because it's raining outside. So just because there is a change in something and all of a sudden you need to wipe the solution out and build something new. So that's the most important trait, I would say, for that to have.
And that's a great tip. So talking about scalable solutions, what are the most challenges you're always facing in Salesforce, especially in Salesforce data? And maybe you can talk about the perspective on how to look at it from a scalable approach and not just from putting out fires point of view.
Yes, again, several challenges there. One main thing is the stakeholders, right? As an admin, you deal with a lot of stakeholders. Stakeholder management is one of the good skills to have in your tool belt. What the challenge with stakeholders is stakeholders usually come from sales, marketing, customer service, right? And on the business side of the things, people are usually, not people actually, processes are usually flexible because people are implementing them. There is no system, right? So sales process, you can tell salespeople that, hey, from now on, we're gonna negotiate in this way. We're going to have discounts based on this, based on that. You give all that information to the salesperson and they will just start using it. By the way, the next day, they're good to go. You take that process and come to the Salesforce admin and say, hey, this is our Salesforce sales process from now on. Implement this to Salesforce. Well, then you are hitting a system limitations. Well, system. Now you have to put it in a system more orderly base to make sure that it's logical, it makes sense in every it's scalable, right? You want to make sure that I will be able to build it in a reasonable time, right, with reasonable resources. But when you are dealing with the stakeholders, in this instance with salespeople, for example, or sales org, it's hard to explain that, hey, just because it's easy for you to implement the change because you have people who are implementing this, right? They're talking to the customers and all. Doesn't mean it is as scalable for the system. It's hard to implement that every little thing for the within the Salesforce instance. So the challenge is the stakeholders to talk to them and explain that, hey, you know, these are the things that we need to keep in mind when we are coming up with the processes. So for an admin to fix that, they need to ask questions. right? To be able to ask questions. For that, you need to understand the business. You need to understand where they're coming from, right? Unless you can put yourself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from, you will not be able to deliver scalable solution, right? You need to understand where they're coming from. That will lead you to ask real questions, good questions that will lead for you to have scalable solutions. The other day in LinkedIn, I posted, let me give you a small example, little example, right? A person comes to you and says, hey, I need to have a field on account that pulls this information from the opportunities and populates it on the account level. Well, two ways to handle it. One, sure, it's a custom field. I'll do roll up field or use a third-party package, TLRS or something like that. Sure, I'll do it. Second way is, hey, sure, what that field is going to do there, right? That field is there. What is the purpose of that field? Oh, for me, just to see it there. When I look at the account, I want to see this information. If any of opportunities has this information, I want to see it there, right? Or the highest value, lowest value, whatever it is, right? Or pick list value. It can be anything. Okay, what about I can give you in the related list, right? You have related list of opportunities on the account. So when you click on the opportunity related list, you see that field for each opportunity in there. So instead of having one field on the account, you have that field on the related list, and you can see what each opportunity has there, right? The difference between this, the one field is not scalable, because business will come to you and say, well, now I want this field to show only the opportunities where the industry is education, for example. Now I need second field, and I want to see the industry, the value where the opportunity industry is, I don't know, construction. I don't know, right? Something like that. Now you will keep adding fields in the account level instead of just showing it on the opportunity. In the second solution, you ask questions, you understand the problem, you give them better solution. Now they don't need to create a second, third field for each and every opportunity. They will see opportunity, industry of that opportunity, right? And value, that field that they were asking. So it's everything is there. Again, that comes from asking questions. Asking questions, for that you need to know where your stakeholders coming from in order for you to deliver the scalable solution.
And that's a great point. So you've talked about I'll call it empathy, with the sales reps and executives in order to build scalable Salesforce solutions for them. So can you maybe elaborate a bit about some data entry protocols that you have for reps, and how you came up with these protocols based on this empathy and asking questions mindset?
For sales reps to enter in Salesforce, you mean?
Yes, some of the protocols you have.
The protocols we have is basically we have set policies for salespeople. They're the most challenging group. Every admin knows. not as people, but as an org. They're the most challenging org to deal with, and we have policies set in place. And the sales is the only org where we have sales enablement team, which helps them to understand the current policies, current processes for them. Those protocols, all of them were set by sitting down with sales executives, sales directors, sales managers, or in every level of an organization. You need to include at least one person, even individual sales reps, where they're not managers, they're just individual contributors. Even you need to include those, because in every decision that you are making for an end user, if end user themselves are not included, the process will fail because it goes to that person, to an individual level where they will do the actual work. And if it's not aligned with their day-to-day work, the protocols that you put in place, policies you put in place, processes you put in place, if those don't align with their day-to-day work, that will fail. And at some point you realize that that data doesn't look good in Salesforce. What's going on? It's empty. All of the fields are empty. Now you keep creating validation rules nonstop. You have 100 validation rules in Salesforce where it's trying to move sales reps in a certain direction, like a kindergarten kids, right? Hey, come this way. Hey, come this way. You know, that happens because in the process of creation, those protocols, those policies, individual contributors are not included. Top management made a decision, right? Executives made a strategic decision. Director level or manager level made protocol level decisions, and the details, individual contributors, end users who are responsible for adding the values in Salesforce are not involved. Now they keep having meetings nonstop. Hey, why is this data not right? Why aren't you guys keeping up with the data, right? Putting your data in. Yeah, they have to, of course. At CRM, sales rep, if sales reps don't put the data in Salesforce, the reports will be off, right? They will not be right. We definitely need that data point from them, but at the same time, we need to sit down and make sure that we understand what they are doing, because they are the ones who are facing the customers. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how they're dealing with the customers, what kind of customers we have, right? What are their demands? The only way to know it is the individual contributors, which are actual sales reps who are facing these customers. And if we are not including them, then our data protocols are just obsolete. We don't need them. So I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, it answers perfectly. And it's also like a great setup for the next one, which is, what is your number one tip to govern Salesforce data?
Sorry, what is my number one what?
Number one tip. And for every Salesforce admin out there, to govern Salesforce data, as different has many duplications.
Like definitely have a good understanding of the business. Definitely know what your data mean, right? When when the team comes to you and say, hey, this is wrong, don't just jump in and assume that it is wrong. Ask questions, understand that. Why do you think it's wrong? Maybe the other person doesn't interpret the data in that field properly, right? The data in that field means something, and in person's mind is something different. So make sure that you understand your business, your stakeholders. At the same time, use a lot of third-party tools that we have in Salesforce, right? Make sure that you have tools for data cleaning. If you don't have money to invest in good tools, definitely there are a lot of free tools there that you can find. Research the market, see what other admins are doing. That's actually third advice. Research. Always research. Don't assume that you know the best. Don't assume that you know everything. Always read in Google, search in Google, read articles, get in LinkedIn, have network of people from within Salesforce ecosystem who know what they're doing. Architects and everybody is sharing. Salesforce ecosystem is a great environment. Ohana is great. People are sharing without you even asking. They're like, I have this idea. I'm going to share it with my LinkedIn network, or I'm going to share it in my blog, right? Lots of valuable blogs in there. Definitely research, read a lot, improve yourself, because Salesforce is changing. Salesforce is changing, improving in a daily basis. right?
Mhm.
For example, recently, it's kind of related to the data as well, but integration users. Salesforce came up with Salesforce integration users.
Mhm.
I would not know about it unless I had good, knowledgeable people in my LinkedIn network, right? They shared. I'm like, the same day they shared, right? And I read about it. I'm like, great. I've been struggling to understand how can I use one user, because it's expensive. A human user is expensive. How can I use one user to have all my integrations go through it, right? I was trying to come up with that. All of a sudden, Salesforce is like, oh, here's cheap integration user for you to have API access. Great. I would not know about it right away, right there, and change my mind about the solution if I didn't have good people in my network. So definitely understand your business, get your tools together, right, and have a good network in again in LinkedIn. Research about the blogs, right? Have good blogs in your bookmarks. Bookmark the blogs and read in each blog and see what's going on in Salesforce world.
That's great tips. And the last question is, how do you like your coffee?
Wow, that's that's more challenging than the Salesforce question. I can talk about Salesforce like nonstop, but coffee, just black, maybe with some chocolate. I usually don't drink coffee. I love tea. Every morning I brew my own tea. I drink tea, black tea, breakfast, and during the day as well. If I'm working from home, I definitely brew tea at least one more time during the day and drink it like that. But if I have no option of tea, for example, not in the office or somewhere, right, no one is going to brew tea, and I don't like those tea
Tea
bags.
bags.
Yeah, so I don't like the tea bags. So coffee, if I have to drink, mostly black, but sometimes with a little bit of milk, and that's all. No fancy stuff.
Great. So thanks a lot for joining us, Elgun.
Sure.
And
It was great.
it was a
It was great.
pleasure.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Roy. I appreciate you inviting me to this.